Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. We're having a Chinese dinner coming up in a couple of weeks. You may have heard April 5th is our Shabbat Chinese dinner. And that's actually nothing so extraordinary. I mean, Jews and Chinese food sort of go together. We talk about it all the time. The question is why? And what is it about Chinese food in particular that has always drawn Jews to eating it? There actually have been books written about this and all sorts of scholarly studies. And one of the conclusions was that because Chinese food doesn't mix meat and milk a whole lot, Chinese food worked for those who wanted to at least act like they were following Jewish tradition when it came to dietary laws, when it came to kashrut. And because the way pork was served in Chinese food, it looked like and could pass for being something else, for chicken or some other kind of meat, and so Jews felt like they could get away with it. All of this brings us back, actually, to the Torah portion this Shabbat. And in the midst of Shmini, we have this whole section about how our dietary rules are supposed to work. And we learn there that in our dietary rules, there are certain kinds of animals we can eat and certain we cannot eat, and that we can't do certain kinds of mixing. And the Chinese food thing worked because we avoided that mixing. The bigger question then is why? What's our tradition driving at? Why is it that we don't want to mix? And this is one that the sages never fully understand and never fully answer. Some say that we do this just to be different from our neighbors. Others say that mixing is somehow a bad thing and causes us to mix in other ways. Still others say that when we mix things, we blend lines and we blur lines, and that causes a problem. For us as Reform Jews, we have some choice in the matter. We can decide, for example, do we want to keep kosher or not? Do we want to go to the Chinese place or not? Do we want to do this or that or the other? But each of us makes a decision along that road, which is, how do I want to live my life? Do I want to be separate or do I want to be with the people? And do I want to differentiate my food and my this and my that, or do I want to make them all the same? These are challenges that our people have faced for generations. And long before Jews loved Chinese food, Jews wrestled with how do we understand how to eat and how to interact with our neighbors. I hope you'll join us not just for the Chinese dinner in a couple of weeks, but for services. We'll start with this week. Shabbat services are at 6 o'clock Friday evening. Saturday morning we have services at 11, preceded of course by Torah study at 10, and we'll be celebrating the Bar Mitzvah on Saturday of Joseph Seidman. Sunday morning religious school and all sorts of other activities throughout the week. The following Shabbat, which is the first Shabbat in April, is the Chinese Shabbat dinner, and so I hope you'll make your reservations and be in contact with the temple office. And services that Friday again will be at 6 o'clock, with Saturday morning services at 11, and that week we'll be celebrating the Bar Mitzvah of Zach Costanza. So lots of good things going on, including a yummy Chinese dinner at the temple. For now, Shabbat Shalom, look forward to seeing you at the temple, and I hope you spend a little time wrestling how it is that we interact with food, and what kind of choices do we make, and how can our tradition guide us in those decisions. Look forward to seeing you at the temple.